Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and today is Monday, January the 6th. This will be our first chart lesson of the year. Happy New Year to everybody. Welcome back. Today's my first day of trading since back before Christmas, so I usually take this time of the year off. There's not much going on anyway, usually. So a lot of times these first day back is a pretty good day. I guess this is really not the first day back since the holiday, but it's the first Monday after the holiday had completed. So I'm thinking that probably has a little bit to do with the fact. But usually you get a pretty strong emotional day, and it's just been really quiet today. Just not much really happening. We had a couple of pretty good moves. This one was kind of difficult to catch unless you want to be a little aggressive. Even this one was a little more aggressive right here, but you had a different reason. We'll talk about that. And they're just past that, it just really kind of slowed down. It hadn't been much, really since 10 o'clock this morning, nothing much happening. And, it's just the way it goes. If you didn't catch one of these moves earlier today, you just didn't have much chance to make money. So, but let's talk about the trades. Welcome back to everybody. Let me get that out of the way. I appreciate all the notes and the Happy New Year's and the Merry Christmases. I thank everybody for those, and hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. Hope you enjoyed the time off if you took it. If not, I hope you were spending it studying and practicing your, learning this stuff. And I wish you the best for the coming year of 2014. And started off fairly decent. I mean, like I said, it's not a great day, but there were a couple of trades here, if you were patient, that made you some pretty good money. Um, it was best just to stay out of this stuff. But if you found this channel, you understood what was going on most likely. And hopefully you were following the rules, and that would have kept you on the wrong side. So, but I'm going to wrap this, I'm going to wrap up the welcome backs and stuff like that. And hopefully I'll try to get a new lesson out for the premium session in the next day or two as well. I did a couple over the holidays, but I would have liked to have done more, but I just wanted to take the time off, and I did. And I'm a little bit behind on emails, as you would expect. Most of you were nice enough not to send me stuff during the holidays, but some of you may not have realized it that I was even on vacation. So I did get a few emails, and if you didn't get a reply from me over the holidays, that's the reason. And by the time I actually get to it and respond to it, it may not be worth, you may not be that interested anymore, but I'll try to still answer them all. But I still got quite a few, so it's going to take me a couple of days to catch up. So unless you got something really critical, hold the emails for a couple of days till we kind of get back on track and I get caught up. And I guess that's it. But welcome back to everybody. Let me get through today's chart lesson. And again, if you can, give me a couple of days to get caught up and back in the saddle, so to speak, and then we can kind of get back to a normal around here. So, but let's talk about the trades. We started off in this little overnight trading range. We broke out of that. This is where I came in right around 7 this morning, and this was the first entry. It's a little bit aggressive. We had this little channel working up. This was the first break, so you're probably going to get a high, but it didn't have to go very far to get a high, so you're basically having to enter at the very high. I would recommend trying to get into this with a limit order so you reduce your risk a little bit if you are going to try to take it. But it continued on up, and once we started going higher, I would have been looking, for it to test this right here. You can see that found a little resistance, broke through, and this is really your highs just ended up being, let me just draw a line there. I didn't have that on there because I didn't want to clutter up the chart. But you can see those highs right there. That's just a failed break higher that turns down. It is a second entry short. Notice this new low. Actually, it's not really a second entry short, but you could treat it like one because this is a strong support low. So you could treat it like, and this is a little bit lower than this right here, but it didn't make a completely new low. So you could almost treat this like a second entry short, but the main thing is it's a failed break higher. There's a couple legs up, and we had been in a trading range. We hadn't really come back and tested that fully. You don't know that it's going to drop like that, but you figure you're going to there's enough room to get a scalp out before you even get back to the EMA. So that's another reason that you might consider entering there. Again, both of these entries are a little bit aggressive, but if you're, if you see this little channel and you see the break and you know that there's a breakout here and then there's strong resistance here as well, that we had a little failed breakout, then it gives it a little more credence. If it would have broke higher and then turned down and went out, I would have liked it even more. I might have even made it red then, but it didn't. We just kind of had two inside candles and it broke lower. And there's really a second entry right here. Notice the new high, and then you have a little bit of pullback, and that candle couldn't go lower right there. Let me move this out of the way. So that is a second entry, really counting off the high. You'd have to go to a smaller chart to see that, so it's a little more advanced. But if you haven't seen that, there is a lesson on that in the premium section. If you're a member, make sure you watch that because it'll explain that a little more in details. But at this level, I don't want to get too in depth because it just confuses more people, newer traders, than it helps. So for that reason, I don't really talk a whole lot about that in these videos. So, but a couple of reasons. But I also noticed another. I failed to mention here, this was a failed second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, pullback, second entry. So this was a trap, and that was the reason that I like that one as well, that I failed to mention a while ago. So it's like it basically is a failed second entry short after a breakout that looked like it was going to be a breakout, a failed breakout. So it trapped a lot of people. And you could expect that prices are probably going to go test this high, and that's what they did. And we maybe got a tick or two higher, and then it turned down. So that's the reason I liked both of those trades, just another reason. And you should have been able to find this little channel here. I originally had mine a little bit steeper, but when we bounced a little higher here, I kind of tightened it up a little bit. But either way, you got a break of this trend line here. And notice this is real important. The first clue, even if you couldn't find there's the first leg down. And so then when the second leg comes down, you've got more than a measured move. You went a little bit further than a measured move there. So that's enough reason to be concerned about a possible reversal here. But either way, we're bouncing off the lower side of the trend channel, so you know you're going to the upper side. But we've had this break here. We had a couple of closes outside this trend line. And you really, the only way you could find this trend line properly was to draw it off these lows right here like I did. And again, I originally had it a little bit steeper than that. But when we bounced a little higher, I kind of adjusted it, and I think that's a better fit right there. And that fits really well on the top because notice how we turned down there, and then we found resistance. So for that reason, I like that. But let's move on to this trade. This right here is no man's land. We just came off the lows. There's strong support here anyway, and this is just a little trading range. And all we're doing is, the market's not strong enough to really correct, but we're heading to the other side of the channel. And so all of this right here, just stay out and wait for something to set up over here. And then finally, we got a second entry short here off a double top. Again, it's a little aggressive because it's not a great signal bar. You might have waited for the break below here. So you really could have entered this one either way. Let me just go ahead and make a line right there just in case you didn't take the first entry because it is aggressive. But there's plenty of room to get out before you get back down here and test these lows. That's the first break of that channel. And you probably should have been, another reason to look for a correction here is you should have drawn this little, oops, didn't mean to do that. But you had a little trend line coming down right there, and then there's the break in new low. And then so that was another reason not to be thinking short here anymore. Wait on it to come back to the other side. And when it does, we get a break of the channel here. And then you get two legs down to a new low, but you got this channel. See that channel? It's just a short-term trend line. It's not the main trend channel, but it's the current one on the shorter term. And you get the break, and you tried to go lower multiple times and couldn't, and then it reversed. And of course, you don't want to be going short here or here, really. That's another reason this one was a little more aggressive, is because we didn't have a break of this little channel right here. But notice when it does and it comes back, so that was another reason to enter right below that bar right there. And that's it looks similar to this. It's kind of a repeat pattern Notice the high, then the two matching lows. It's almost a perfect repeat pattern right there, so you could have entered there. And then this is just a breakout pullback short right off that same trend line if you found it. And then really you had some more support here, and that's like another attempt of a breakout pullback, but you're just bouncing off the little channel and going to the top and then turning down. So another chance to enter right there. And then again, this was all no man's land because you're bouncing off the lower side and you know you're probably headed back. Plus you had a trend line break and two legs down to a new low. So you had to be real concerned that, hey, we might even break out of this. And so that's kind of no man's land. I did like this one because it's a little failed break out of there. We did close outside again, but it turned back down. Again, it's a little aggressive, but it's coming off that trend line. And there's a good chance you may test this low and even make another new low because we didn't really make a new low here yet after that trend line break, after this little channel break right here. So I was looking for that to happen. So I liked that trade. It was good for a scalp, nothing more. And then we get a second entry short. It's not really a failure, but notice the new low, first entry, pull back, second entry, and then it reverses. It bounces right off that trend line after we've had a break and a new low. And so I like that for a long. And if you didn't enter there, you might have even considered here, but that's so much congestion. There's 3 or 4 overlapping bars, and you see it took a little while. So I didn't like that one as much. And then I was done for the day. I kind of decided I'm done because I sat here and watched this and watched this. And then this trade didn't go lower. So, and we just really wouldn't take off to the upside either. Notice this channel in the break. And so you might have gone short there. It is a second entry. So I meant to kind of draw that one in green as well. I didn't like it because I didn't like the setup bar, and by the time you got to get in, it's way back down here and it's back into this congestion. So I didn't like that one. It would have worked if you took it, and it, you know, there's a few reasons to want to take that short, but if you found this bigger trend channel, you don't want to be taking that short for, it's just too much risk that it will reverse. It did get enough ticks to work. And then again, you might have entered here, so you might have had that one green as well. And then I haven't really seen anything worthwhile since then. This is, again, no man's land over here. There's nothing happening. You're just kind of hung up in congestion. So better off to stay out of that. So that's what I saw for today, the first day back. There weren't a lot of trades today. A lot of them were aggressive. But hopefully you're learning to spot those as well and understand why they're aggressive for the reasons I just explained. And that's really it for today. I'm glad to be back. I was starting to get bored around the house. The only reason I probably didn't come back towards the end of last week are my kids are still out of school. They haven't even started back to school yet. Wherever you're at, if you're in the United States, you're probably cold. I live in the South, as most of you know. Hard to tell by my accent. I realize that. Being sarcastic there, obviously you get that. But we don't get this kind of weather. The high today here is 16 degrees, and I can't even remember the last time it was ever 16 degrees here, much less the high for the day. So this is unusually cold. People, you know, we're not dressed for it. We don't have the, you know, our houses aren't built for it. You know, we're just not prepared for this kind of weather. So we're struggling. For you folks that live north of the Mason-Dixon, I've heard that you've had some incredible wind chills up there, and so I feel for you people because I know how cold we are here, so I can only imagine what it's like up there. If you're north of that in Canada, I don't even know how y'all live there. But it's like anything. I guess you get used to it. I know most of y'all probably that lived in places like that wonder how we live in the heat. But it's all relative. You get used to whatever your climate is, and then anything out of the ordinary is tough. So we're prepared for the heat down here, but not cold like this. So wherever you're at, I hope you're warm. I hope you have water. I know a lot of people here don't even have water because all their water's froze up. You know, luckily I don't have that problem in my house. My house is well built enough that we don't have that issue, but there's a lot of people struggling around here. No water, heat's going out, and you know, we're just not made for this kind of weather. So if you're in one of those situations, I wish you the best. I hope it warms up pretty quickly, And we'll be back to do this tomorrow, assuming we don't get any kind of freezing precipitation that would keep me off the road, which, it only takes a little bit here, and then everything shuts down because we don't have any way to clear the roads here. We don't have any machinery. So hope you're staying warm. If you're somewhere in the world, listen to this where it is nice and warm. Um, Congratulations and enjoy it, because we're freezing to death here in the States. So I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.